OPNS 97.1. It's your girl Bella. Hello, OPNS family. Boy, happy Thursday. Or can I say thankful Thursday? I like to refer to it as. Hey, family, we're back, and I got a treat for you today. I'm going to get right into it. Y'all know me, who follow me. You know what I do. So here we go. I'm getting ready to read a bio on somebody that's very happy to introduce today. Here we go. Lynita Mitchell-Blackwell is a supreme performance personnel and professional development coach whose clients experience maximum life return on your investment by leveraging her skills and expertise as an attorney, a CPA, a certified Christian life coach. I did say certified licensed Christian coach, and an expertise with emotional intelligence practitioner. She's also an obtained New Thought Christian minister. There's a lot to unpack there. She is the #1 Amazon best-selling author of 4 books. I did say 4 books, not one. Bella's working on her first one now, and Lynita doesn't know it. She will help me on that first book. But she's the author of 4 books, and she's been featured in Forbes, ABC, NBC, CBS, and Yahoo Finance. With every professional accomplishment and win, there was also equal and corresponding challenge and the loss that was equal, and in a brutal battle with epidemiologist. I can't pronounce that name, but she will talk about that. Her struggles with self-esteem, and above all, that we all go through the whole body image, right? And our career changes that create terrifying forks in the road and decisions that we all go through. Come on, ladies. We're going to speak the truth today.
Yeah.
Lynita is now using these experiences to help us, OPNS family and others, to live in supreme performances, lives through her system of aggregated intelligence development. Resources include books, personal and professional development coaching, which I've been privileged to get some of that, webinars, seminars, and transformation keynotes, and a whole lot more, ladies and gentlemen. Lynita has founded several businesses that she's going to talk about, more than one, multiple ones to be exact, that include a lot with her law firm. And she's also recognized as one of the top 100 lawyers in the state of Georgia. She's an accounting firm. She has an accounting firm, and she's an award-winning media company that publishes 5 magazines. I said 4 books, right? And now I'm saying 5 magazines. Woof, I'm not even there yet, but I'll get there. 2 of which were voted as Atlanta's hottest publishing companies that published 7 best-selling authors in leadership training and development. Good God, I can go on and on and on. She's also worked with nonprofits, which I've been privileged to help her support, as well as the United States President's Council. I can go on and on and on and on, but I want you to know, family, without further ado, to most of you who don't know, let me proudly introduce our sister, our queen, Lynita Mitchell-Blackwell. Hey, Lynita.
Hello.
Hey, ladies. Thank you so much for having me on the show. I really, really appreciate it. I need to just stick you in my pocket and carry you around with me all the time.
Okay,
my personal hot spot. What?
That's another opportunity. Hello. That's another hat. Okay, y'all know I'm all about my biz, right?
Here we grow, honey.
Here we grow. Lynita, Shanta and I, we are just ecstatic that you are here with us. I want to get right into it so we can maximize the time. I know I said a lot in your short bio. That was a short bio, ladies and gentlemen. That was a short one. But Lynita, we want to know, as we do in the OPS family, tell us about you.
Well, certainly. So one of the things that Mr. Moore mentioned before we even came on was, I want to know about you. I got your accolades and all the rest of that, but who are you? And really who I am is a light created by God to help people to eclipse the fear in their lives. So it's not to say that you are never going to be afraid. It's not to say that you won't ever be in a place where fear can't be used, but you have to learn how to control it, to manage it. And if you would just take a moment and think about situations where you've grown the most of the time there was some anxiety, there was some heightened awareness, there was a level of respect. that was involved there. And so it was necessary for you to get out of your comfort zone so you can grow. And that's what I do. I help people grow, no matter what their industry, no matter their calling, their passion, their purpose. I help them to figure out exactly why God placed them here, the school skills and the awareness that they were given by Father, because he gave us all something that we would be able to earn a living to do, and to use those skills, those abilities, those talents to shape basically what I call the money tree. You worship the same God I do, and that means that you have the same access to him. You have the same opportunities to get whatever it is you said to manifest. And so I help people to do that.
Yeah, that is who you are. Okay. And I, as I was saying before when we were backstage, when you know who you are and when people have a sense of who you are, I think that there's a different value on what you bring to the table. Because, you can have all of this grandioso and all of the lights, right? Mm-hmm. And then the person is jacked up from the flow up on the inside. I just really don't want to waste my time with that because it's not genuine, which means it's not coming from a good place to produce good fruit. And that's a whole nother topic. So welcome to OPNS 97.1 today. I don't know, Bella, where do we start? What's the first question? Because I see 30 things here. The first thing with me that sticks out is definitely Esquire. How long have you been an attorney, and in what specific area?
Certainly. So I actually celebrated my 15th anniversary in May, and I primarily practice residential real estate. So home equity loans, lines of credit, refinances, which are hot now because interest rates are so low. I also do estate planning. Although it's been so busy in the real estate market, I have not done an estate plan in over a year. Not complaining, I'm just saying. And of course, I also do business law. My first profession was accounting, so I did mostly business there and contracts and assurance work. And so, you don't want to leave any of your gifts just lagging there. And so I do still prepare contracts, review them, help businesses get set up. I do nonprofit filings and the rest of it. Although it's been a little while, because of everything that's going on within the real estate market, particularly during this period of pandemic with COVID. Most of my practice is focusing on helping people stay upright, stay above the water at this point. And I'm very, very grateful to be able to be used by Holy Spirit in this way. I really am.
I remember when I first started, I'm a certified housing counselor. I got a lot of legs. And one of the things that just brought me joy at the end of the day was knowing that, like you said, God placed me in a position. He poured that desire on the inside of me to be able to help some 600 plus homeowners, avoid losing their home in crazy times in their life. Isn't it funny that the world now is in a pandemic? And so now a lot of the same struggles that people were having anyway is now priority. That's funny to me. So I definitely, hats off to you with that. And I know that in itself is draining. So how do you find time to do all of this other stuff? Because just, listen, okay, homeowners, we know, and you need the help. God bless you. But they can be aggravating and very draining because of the panic.
That's true. I actually had 2 appointments before I came on with you lovely ladies today. And at the end of the day, we have to remember grace, and we have to be patient, because a lot of times we're meeting people and we want to judge them based on that moment right here, right now. But there were so many things that happened before we ever got in their face, and we have to keep that in mind, because that same grace that we want extended to us, we have to extend to other people.
Great. I love that. I love that, Bella.
Listen, I don't even know where to start. I mean, I want the family to know, everyone knows when we bring folks on, it's always something personal. And I am going to tell a quick story because it's going to lead into a question I have for you, Lynita. There's a lot of women out there pretty much where I was 8 years ago. I think it was about 8 years ago. And I'm going to tell a short story. Lynita represents to Bella in my life. I've always had BelaBliz, but transparency, ladies, I wasn't doing much with it. I was the tied to the check person.
Gotcha.
Working the full-time corporate job, doing a little bit of something with my business. Why? Quite honestly, I didn't believe in myself.
That's good. That's
Okay.
good.
So Lynita represents to me when I first met her through a mutual friend of ours. Shout out to Reverend Rowena. Okay. I met her through another friend of ours, colleague. I met her at Starbucks and we talked about this in Lynita. And Lynita poured so much into me, ladies. It's important to have a mentor. Sometimes you don't even know you're being mentored too. She poured so much into me, family, that I didn't even have the strength, but I had the strength to receive it. I was low self-esteem. I didn't believe in my business. She believed in my business more than I did, and she challenged me to do something with it. So Lynita represents the first person outside of my family. Hello, but family's not always blood, y'all. She
Come on.
became my
Come
That's
on.
true.
and she said, Bella, you got this. You can do this. And she led me on a long course that I can't go into it right now. But just know this, Lynita, hats off. Love you, darling. I would not be here today if it was not for you pouring into me. So my question is this. Everybody's got to have a cheerleader, someone that's selflessly, hello, selflessly, not selfish, can pour into you. Lita, can you talk a little bit about how important that is just in general to business owner, non-business owner, just in general? Okay.
Well, it's interesting that you say that. I believe that we have had cheerleaders in our lives the whole 9 yards from the time we came into the world. And whether we recognize them as such or not, they have always been there. Whether it was your mother who so lovingly said, go, baby, go, when you took your first step, your teacher who saw that you were talented and art and recommended you for the art academy, whether it was when you went to graduate school and you could not get a job to save your life, but they switched some things around and allowed you to go and interview in the place of someone else. There have always been people as you've gone along your life path who have been pushing you and prodding you, and sometimes they remain unseen. And so it's really important that you implement what Dr. Joanna Gaither has, which is the 10-10 rule. It's you identify someone who's 10 years older than you and someone 10 years younger than you to pull along. Because as you said, family isn't always blood. Well, you sometimes are going to mentor people who are older and younger, depending on where they are in their spiritual life cycle. Right. One of the things that I talk about in my book, Knock Down, Set Straight, is the importance of aggregate intelligence, or AQ. It is the composite of your IQ. So that's the smarts, what you would get when you go to school, book learning, as our grandparents probably called it. Your EQ, your emotional intelligence, how you feel, how you make other people feel, and how you react to the world. Your SQ, which is your spiritual intelligence. So that's the recognition that there is something outside of you that is more powerful, that has total and complete dominion over which you have no control, but understanding that you are a part of everything that's going on. And so it's all three of those together, and understanding that everybody is at a different place in their life. And so their AQ is going to sometimes be high and sometimes it'll be low. And it is going to change depending on what they're dealing with at that moment and that point. So when we're talking about being a cheerleader for someone, being a mentor, a coach, we have to keep in mind that we need to be looking for people that we can bless and be blessed by. And so one of the things that Dr. Joe really seeded in me as far as importance was, when we're identifying people, the 10 years may not be chronological years. They might be spiritual years. You look at some people, and particularly now where people are changing their professions, where you may have somebody who is 50 years old, but they just passed the bar. And so they are a new attorney. Well, I have 15 years in, and so I need to be mentoring that sister, right? Or the other way around. I've been in this 15 years, but somebody who's a judge and ran a practice that they either sold or gave off to their partners once they got elected, that is somebody I need to be listening to. And so that's another part when we're talking about finding people to mentor and to be mentored by. It's the importance of listening. just like when we were young and we had to sit there and listen to the silvers, I won't call them old people, the silvers and their wisdom, right? Sometimes you just have to be willing to be in the right place at the right time to listen, because that advice is going to come in handy at some point. If you're a person of faith, we believe that at all times we are exactly where God wants us to be. So whatever somebody is saying, if it's positive, because a lot of times it's not, but if it's positive, we know that even if it doesn't work for us right now, it will. And so it's important that we are mindful and that we are paying attention.
With everything that you've accomplished, and I hear you talking about your faith, which it is very evident that you are a woman of strong faith. With everything that you are doing, that you've been blessed to do, that you've been gifted to do, how key do you think your faith has played a part in that, and played a part in you actually going forward, moving in it, producing, writing, being that thing for God's kingdom? How important do you think your level of faith is in this journey?
So that's actually a two-part question, because my faith is the cumulative faith of those who came before me as well. Because before I believed in myself, my mother believed in me, my grandmother believed and prayed for me. And so those prayers, that energy is there, it is in the atmosphere. And so it's not like I just came out here and said, ta-da, I'm going to do something. There were people who were there who loved me, who nourished me. And I'm not discounting the men in my life. I am a big daddy's girl. My father has always believed in me. But I'm just being very real and saying there is something very different and very special about the prayers that the woman who birthed you puts in you, you know? And so faith has been integral in my lifetime. Just being candid with you, my first profession, accounting, I got my CPA license. I had no idea what I wanted to major in when I was in high school. My mother picked my major. She told me what I was going to do, because she said you need to be in something where you will always be able to have a job no matter what is going on. And accountants are always in high demand. And so once I figured out what I wanted to do, then I went to law school. Now, why is that important? Because when it came down to it, there have been places I have been able to go, rooms I've been able to walk into, interviews that I have been granted because I have that combined JD and CPA.
Gotcha.
And if it had not been for my mother making that choice for me when I had no idea, those are opportunities that I would not have had. Now, you know, once you become an adult and you no longer have the childish ways, it's time for you to develop your own relationship with Holy Father, and you develop and strengthen your own faith. Then yes, now I'm in a place where I do that and I can show and teach my own daughter. And so my faith has been incredible, because when we founded the magazine Bold Favor and then the media group, which then became an empire, I had no experience whatsoever in publishing. I had written a few articles, some columns for a couple of magazines, but prior to that, I had no experience in that. And so that was something that God called me to do. I was very frustrated by the negative things that I was seeing in the media about Black people, people of color, and women. And, you know, we have to chop it down like that. And I was like, this is not the experience that I have had. The people I know are beautiful and intelligent and funny and empathetic and kind and spirit-filled. And so those were the types of people that we had in our publications, the types of events that we covered. And when that time came for us after 5 years to bring that to a close, it was very frustrating, because we had finally gotten to a place where we understood how to make it profitable. We were doing well, but God had another calling upon me to take that experience and to redo it. And of course, I didn't know this, but he knew it. The pandemic was coming, because we just published our last magazine last year. And then we ramped up the firm, we being me, with my law firm, into these other areas and building new relationships with new mortgage companies, title companies, and the new products that would be available. But I had no idea that we were going to basically go in lockdown in March. And then we would go from closing, I'm just being very transparent with you. I went from closing maybe 15 or 16 appointments in a week to most weeks now we close between 35 and 40.
Oof.
Yeah, and it came fast, it came hard, and I had no idea that that was going to happen. The ramp up of more than doubling your business like that in a month was incredibly stressful, and sometimes it was scary, because you're thinking about all of the people who are not going to be served if you don't get up every day. And so I was sleeping maybe 4 or 5 hours because for every appointment, there's still the preparation time, making sure the paperwork is complete. There are the calls that you get from your clients because it's not just money that they're worried about, and you need to be available for them so they don't go off the deep end. I actually had one person call me at 2 a.m. She was ready. She had already set out the chair to hang herself. I am not kidding. I had to call the police and send somebody over there. So when I tell you that faith is key, integral, there is nothing else that keeps me going but my belief that God is here and He is with me.
Cool. Hold it right there. Hold it right there. Lynita, take a breather. I have got a queen. I need you to read out one of my dear friends, and she's a faith walking person. Shout out to Charlene, SV Peters. You see that, what she said? Can you read that out, please?
Prayers from your family go up to the Lord in remembrance. Amen. Amen. I I can feel you right now. And as I told you, I was a certified housing counselor. So obviously my job was to help people and to, especially in troubling times. And I remember there was this 80-year-old vet that came to my office. He had never had issues with his finances, put the woman of his dream in her dream home, and then life happened to them.
Yes.
And he came to my office, and I'm always, this is just my ministry, just being, used by God. That is what I do. So whether it's as a counselor, whether it's me singing on a stage, or whether me, at a book signing, that's what I do. And I remember this man sitting in front of me saying, listen, if you can't help me, I already have a plan B. And I didn't know what he was talking about. I said, well, typically when you guys come to me, people will send you to me because they know I can get her done. So let's do this. And I went through the process, and for a moment I saw hope in his face. I didn't see it when he walked in, and he broke down crying. He said, little girl, and I did not take it offensive. This man is old enough to be my grandfather. He said, little girl, you just saved somebody's grandpa. And I said, excuse me? He said, yeah, I had already did the research to see how quick my life insurance policy would pay out. And at that moment, I said, okay, so this atmosphere just shifted.
Yeah.
This house is not worth you.
Yeah.
This, and people, they work so long and they work so hard. And, I think that's where the scripture comes in, is lets you know that it's easier for a wealthy man to fit into the head of a needle. And I didn't understand it at first, but you have some people that become consumed mentally about the value of the dollar, to where when the value of the dollar decreases, they feel like they have no existence, that they don't matter, and the only way is to check out. So when you shared that, with her, she's literally set up the chair. It brought me back to being in that room, in that space with him. And a lot of people don't realize this is what kingdom business is all about. Regardless of what my profession is, I have to be there for my fellow brother or my fellow sister. Blessingly, I wind up not only helping them save their house, we were able to reduce their monthly payment by over $500 and something. Every year, just thanking you. But I think the thank you was more than just the house.
Yes. That's right.
More than just about the house, So my hat's off to you, and just really seeing that you have the heart of a servant. Go ahead, Bella.
Lynita, here's I'm going. I'm going to switch gears a little bit because I know what I know and they don't know what I don't know, right? And so I'm going to talk about iron sharpening iron, right?
Ah,
Because what I want you to speak to Lynita, because I know the circle, because I'm privileged to be a part of it. I want you to speak to the audience. And again, these are all disclaimers. We are all who we are, but I want to strike a chord while I'm on tried, tested, and conquered. And obviously, Lynita is the epitome of being tried, being tested, and conquered. But here we go. Lynita, I'm going to set the stage. You know, I've been told a lot of times in my own circle that, girl, it's time for you to move because you know the person we talking about, Reverend Rowe. If
Yeah.
you're not the sharpest person in your circle and you feel and find out that you're not being fed, where you're being drained continuously in this outpouring, it's time for you to leave. I would like you to speak to the fact that once you understand the dynamic women that we all are, and no shade on any female, but when you know what you know in your circle that builds you up and edify, because we're all not there. Let's keep it real. 100.
amen.
We are all not there.
Yeah.
Speak
Amen.
that because a lot of us, I'm not being arbitrarily, don't have that spirit in us to want to share, want to edify, and want to give. Speak to that and speak to the importance of the circle.
So, a couple of things there. The first thing is you have to understand that if you are the smartest person in the room, something is wrong.
Amen.
Something is very, very wrong. You have to be in a place of constant uncomfortableness if you want to grow. And that's just the way that it is. If you're in a place where you know everybody, where everybody is always deferring to you, where you're basically in an echo chamber, you are no longer serving your purpose. You are no longer doing what God placed you here to do. If you think of it from the perspective of when a farmer plants, there is the lot of land and he prepares the soil. He puts down the seed, he cultivates the soil, waters it, makes sure that it's taken care of. When the harvest comes in, he goes out, he brings everything in, he prepares the soil, rotates it, and then moves to another lot. You don't stay there and replant the same fruit and vegetables and seeds because you're continuing to pull the same nutrients, and that is what actually kills the land. Now, what's interesting about that, because God is a God of second chances and thirds, is that although the land is no longer ready to produce nutrient-rich items because it has been depleted, if you leave it alone long enough, it will be restored, but it takes time. And so when we're talking about being in a place where we are no longer growing, that is what has happened. We've taken all of the nutrients and we need to move to another place, another circle, so that we can get what we need as well as giving other people what they need. So when we put plants into or seeds into the ground, the seeds take the nutrients and then they produce fruit that is going to feed the community, right? But in that fruit, there's more seeds to be planted later. You are a seed. And until you humble yourself and you understand that you are there to give and to get, that you are not ever going to be the person that you were destined to be. You are going to be this little part of you, period.
That's good. That's good. That's good. You are a seed. You are a seed. And I had to put that in the comments over here. You are a seed, and people don't realize the value that they carry as the seed that they walk around. I tell people all the time, and I saw a radio host friend of mine today said it was funny how he said, listen, I don't mind you wanting what I got, but don't have to tear me down to get it.
Yes, I like that.
As a seed, I love that. And as a seed, we got to understand that there's a unique makeup of me, the individual seed. What I plant, you won't plant. You can't plant. Because you weren't created to be me, to think like me, walk like me, to produce like me. And if everybody realized that there is value in their individual seed, I think that we'll keep planting and moving. I tell people all the time, being in ministry, it is not my concern well, that's the only word I can use. It's not my concern to sit around and worry about whether or not you caught the seed when it was planted.
That's
All I
right.
know is that I planted it. And
Yeah.
now the way you live your life is going to water it, whether that's slow, abundant, or bad. You know, if you take and pour some gasoline on it, well, I had nothing to do with that. I planted the seed. So I love that, you know, saying that you are the seed. And from that seed, from you doing the work, from you planting, everywhere you go, eventually you'll be able to tell the fruit, you know, the tree by the fruit that it bears. I love
Yeah.
that. You are
So,
a seed.
Lynita, I'm going to shift because I'm trying to get a whole pack for hour in with you. Because I'm experiencing the goal. No, you know we're going to go there because she's so. I got to unpack some of the stuff, Queen. I mean,
Yes.
so much. So
Unpack
here's
for
one.
you. Unpack.
Here's one. We're going to shift to the bold.
Okay.
Lynita is so giving. She does this thing. I'm going to let her talk about her event that I was
Okay.
privileged to come to a few years. Talk
Okay.
about your bold event and how you edify the women.
Okay, so the Bold Lifestyle Awards was an award show that we did for 4 years. And it was initially related to the Bold Favor magazine. And we would highlight people who were doing the amazing but would normally be looked over because they weren't celebrities or or infamous. I'll be nice and say, or we're not infamous. And we weren't looking for the perfect person. We were looking for people who realized that they had something wonderful to contribute to society and were giving it with all of their heart and soul. And I really loved the awards. And it's funny you mentioned it, Linda. I was talking with Regina Sunshine just Monday saying, you know, this would be about the time that we would be really ramping up because it was be the first weekend in December.
Right.
And so people would be sharing the flyer and getting their family and friends to purchase the tickets and all the rest of it. And so that energy is missing, and I miss it. But I
Are we
also
going to do it again?
I have had a number of requests, and so maybe. At least I'm not saying no anymore because it was a lot of work. And I am so very touched by the amount of support that the program received because our last one was in Douglasville, Georgia, which is a small suburb of Atlanta. And we were in the middle of a huge storm, and there was flooding and all the rest of it in the entire metro Atlanta area. And we still had over 300 people to come.
Yep,
and so,
there.
yeah, and I say that because I am so grateful to have that type of support for a positive awards program where people are coming at 10 o'clock in the morning in black tie because they want to see the type of people who are seeding into the community. And when I use the term community, I'm not just talking about Atlanta. We have people literally we've recognized from all over the world. And so I miss it. So I'm gonna leave it with maybe, Bella, maybe.
Okay. Now, you all heard her talk about an award show for the magazine she had, Bold. So let's talk a little bit, Lynita, about your multiple, as Queen knows, we all are there. Multiple businesses. Can you share a little bit about that with the audience?
Absolutely. So Bold Favor was a magazine that in my little mind was just supposed to be a newsletter. Bella has heard this before, but I went to India and had a life-changing experience. I was there actually to be supportive of another sister. Tanika Gray Valburn had been selected as a speaker, and she was the first African-American speaker to be on that stage for the women's conference put on by the Art of Living in Bangalore, India, which, you know, is a big deal when you're invited. And so she wouldn't get on the plane by herself. And I hope she's watching this because, yes, I'm putting you out there. And it was like one of the worst times for me to be trying to go anywhere. At the time, I didn't know that I was in the throes of stage 4 endometriosis. I just knew I did not feel well. And I would have literally in the same month, I would swell up and then go right back down And like, and when I'm talking about swell up, I'm not just talking about a little puffy. I'm talking about going up 2 dress sizes and my face being all puffy, and nobody could figure out what was going on. And because I wasn't working as much, because I wasn't feeling as well, I was really having a hard time with my firm, and so I didn't have the resources. I literally had to crowdfund to get over there. But while I was there, Tanika was great, of course. She was going to be great. It was amazing, and I got to see some of the ways that the international community viewed us as Black and brown people, and it just really did something to me. It made me feel small and deflated and so sad, because like I shared with you ladies, that is not my experience. Yes, we have problems, but for most people to think that that is what our experience is, that all we want to do is have our pants sagging down our butt and wearing clothes that reveal our physical beauty, but none of our mental or emotional beauty, that our strength is in being profane and not in the power of our vocabulary. That's just not who I am, or who my friends, my circle, like you ladies are. And so that's how we got started with Bold Favor. And so I put out a call for articles. And I had in my mind that it was going to be just a really big newsletter, maybe about 20 pages. And we wound up with 84 pages. And at that point, that's not a newsletter, it's a magazine. But I did not have any of the infrastructure to support that. And so the first magazine was done in Microsoft Word. And I mean, Bella has heard this, and it was ugly because I didn't have a graphic designer. But people saw it and they liked the concept. And so Dorna Werdelin got her cousin, who had just graduated from FSU with, of course, an undergrad degree in graphic design. And so she was our first graphic designer, and she got it together, and it was beautiful. And then we took off from there. People really liked the concept of supporting and loving themselves.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, once you realize that you are a king and queen walking on this earth, you now have self-love, and you want to share that with other people, and you're going to support that mission. And that's what Bold Favor was. It was a way to support the kings and the queens and to bring more people into the kingdom. And I loved that. I really, really did love it.
I'm listening to you, and it just like the different avenues, and all of it is you're serving to pull out the greatness in people. And I believe, as you, I could tell that you got emotional sharing the story earlier. That is genuinely who you are. And a lot of people don't understand that is, why certain people's cup continue to overflow. I never hear you sitting. I mean, you just got on a plane in bad health. You know what I'm saying? To go and be of good service. And a lot of people would say that's crazy. A lot of people would say, okay, no, you need to take the time to take care of yourself. But your abundant blessings and breakthrough is on the other side of being of good service. And you are sitting here just flawlessly the epitome of what I believe God means when he says that we're supposed to love thy neighbor. We're supposed to act and move in love, because that's what I hear. It's like it exudes from you, and you're the type of person that it's like, okay, let me learn some more. Let me pull up to the table, because I don't know if she can take and bag up a little piece of that self that I see and put it on the market. But I need to figure out how to tap into that. I have people to say to me all the time, Shanta, you seem like you don't have a care in the world. The more Bella gets to know about me, she go, what? But you don't act, and you don't see, and I'm looking at you, and I feel the exact same way. If I can't focus on that. Because if I focus on all of that, I won't fulfill the purpose that God has created me for. Right. So let's see, attorney, published author. Let's talk about these 4 books. I've already captured one of the titles here. You referenced it earlier.
Knock Down, Set
Straight. Yes. Mm-hmm. Let's talk about that and these other #1 best-selling author books we have here.
Certainly, thank you. So my most recent book is a little different from my others, but the overall theme is always women in leadership. This one is a little different because I am specifically talking about and calling out this fallacy of balance. There's just no such thing. You are a four-dimensional being. You were made in God's image. There's Father, there's Son, there's Holy Spirit, and there's all of Him. And you were made the same way. You have IQ, EQ, SQ, and aggregate intelligence, all of it. Which means that at some point, one of those Q's is going to have to rise to be in charge so that your life can flow well. And this fight with trying to balance everything in your life, you are going to be miserable and depressed forever. That's just the way that it is. Once you realize that God gave you all of these different skills and gifts and talents, but they are to be used at different points in your life, life will be good for you. Like Bella, I appreciate you bringing up the magazine and the media company, even though I'm not doing them anymore, because that was for a time and for a season. And when it was over, even though I didn't understand it, and you were at my book launch last year when I was talking about it, and I was very emotional because I was like, God, I remember exactly where I was when you told me to found this. And now you're talking about shutting it down when I'm finally making money doing it. What is that? Not knowing that the pandemic was coming 6 months later and that I had to be in position and ready to serve His people the way that they would need to be.
Come on, come on.
I didn't know that. I didn't understand that. But, you know, it's one of those things. It's not for you to know. It's for you to do.
Just move. Just move.
What? And for those who may not be ultra religious and love Star Wars, what Yoda say? Don't try. Just do.
Just do.
Just do it. You know, you just got to get out there and do it. So that's what I'm talking about in Knock Down Set Straight. But as with all my books, I like using myself as the key example. I don't like putting other people's business on blast unless it directly impacts me. And I'm talking about what I learned and my own deficiencies are. I know that people make a lot of money telling other people's stories, but I don't like doing that. And so
here. Amen. Amen.
Yeah. That's me.
That's the top level of plagiarism.
And Lynita, as you were talking about your books, you know, I want people to understand, you know, we all can multitask, right? And I thought your work, if you're still doing it, let me know. Your great work over in Africa when you were doing the different projects with the books. Are you still working on that? Can you share a little bit about that?
Absolutely. So through Living in Bold Favor, we were able to establish six libraries, across the African continent. 2 in Kenya, Swaziland, Botswana, 2 in Swaziland, Botswana, and I don't remember the other one right off the top of my head. And we actually were gearing up to do another one, and then the pandemic hit. And so what they rather, instead of, you know, gathering the books because of the risk of exposure, they asked for support as far as monetary donations, which we did instead. But I do look forward to going back and doing that. But again, that goes to striking while the iron is hot, as the old folks would say, the Silvers would say, or moving when God tells you to move. You would think that you had all the time in the world. They'll always need libraries. They'll always need resources. Well, but you won't always have the opportunity to send them, like what we're dealing with right now. So yeah.
That's good. I want to squeeze in a little bit so Queen can understand in the audience. I know you have a beautiful, loving husband and a beautiful, loving daughter and a beautiful, loving mother. Bring that element about your family, because we all multitask, and you're right, Queen. She's busy a lot, but she tends to make it work. Talk a little bit about your family, and I know the support and how important they are to you.
Oh, I'll tell anybody, you know, if it weren't for my mother being with me, I wouldn't be able to do like a third of what I do. Particularly when Angelica, my daughter, was very small. She's 13 now, and so she's self-sufficient. She cooks for herself, does the laundry and all the rest of it. She's a very independent young lady. But when I was just getting up and running and she was a baby, and just to give you some context of when I'm talking about baby, literally, I resigned from my job on a Tuesday, and Brian and I found out Angelica was on the way on that Thursday before I started my law firm. Yes, and he was so supportive. Um, Now he was freaked out. I'm not gonna lie. He was freaked out. This was before he answered his call to ministry. I'm really glad that the carpet was nailed down because that deep breath he took would have been the carpet would have been his nose.
Oh my
Oh,
Lord.
Lord.
But he was so supportive, and whatever I needed, wherever I needed it. I mean, in those beginning days, Brian was the administrator, my executive assistant, plus working this full-time job, plus being in seminary. And even now, he's my office administrator, so he does all of the tech stuff and the ordering and supplies and payroll and all the rest of that, so I can focus and be about being the lawyer, you know.
Yes.
And my daughter, she has always been mommy's biggest cheerleader. I remember when we started the magazine, we were at the playground, and I think she was 6. She hadn't turned 7 yet. And she introduced herself to one of the children. She said, "Hi, my mommy and I founded Bold and Favor magazine. What do you and your mommy do?"
Love it.
She's just amazing, and I just love her so much. But family has been everything for me. I tell folks that of everything that I've been able to accomplish in my certifications and degrees, it was the investment in my character that has been the biggest thing. Please, thank you, and yes, sir, no, sir, yes, ma'am, no, ma'am, have got me further, I believe, than most anything else.
Oh,
Yes.
Nita, thank you for sharing. It goes a long way. You know,
It
it's
does.
not about northern or southern. People always telling me, "You're not from here, are you?" No, I'm from up north, but trust me, my mama would whip my tail. God bless her soul, because we grew
Yeah,
up with that whole right.
yeah,
Right.
it's about respect. It
Chivalry
really
ain't dead.
is. No,
Chivalry
it's
ain't dead.
not. It is really not.
Yeah.
Oh wow. So listening, I mean, the having the support system. Let me ask you something. I know that you've seen or dealt with clients that their life was where it was because they did not have a support system.
Right.
What would you say to them? Because it's very easy. It's very easy for us to look at things one way when we haven't had to deal with it the other way.
Yes.
And it's very easy to judge what we don't understand. I remember
Yes.
there was a awesome woman of God, and yes, I still say she's awesome to this day. There was a conversation that we had, and before I knew it, I said, "Listen, never tell people that you're willing to meet them where they are.
That's
You
right.
can't do that and judge them at the same time."
That's
You know,
right.
so what advice would you give to that person that has had this drive? They have this, like you said, we don't know, we just know to move. What advice would you give them? That person that feels like, you know what, I don't have the support system to make this even make sense. I know for me, I burned out trying to wear 10 hats at one time because I
Yeah.
couldn't get somebody to be just as dedicated or just as loyal or when trying to stab me in the back. Been there, done that. So
Yeah.
what would you say to the person that has all of these ideas that feel like that there's so much more that they want out of life, but because they don't see the structure, they don't see the support system. What would you say to that person in reference to going and get what God has for them?
Well, it's interesting that you asked me that because that was my experience getting started. And I recently, in this very quiet time during the pandemic, have had a chance to really reflect over the past few years of my life. And I created a training program specifically for that called the Money Tree Method. And it's a misnomer because people are probably just thinking like money falls off trees, money, money, money. It's so much deeper than that. This is
Yes.
money tree, as in when God cast Adam and Eve out, he did not send them out without provision. That he told Adam he would work by the sweat of his brow.
Mhm.
That means that he instilled in him skills, gifts, and talents that will serve him his whole life. Because what you are able to do when you are 20 and young and strapping, working that browbeating job, you're not going to do and you're not supposed to be doing when you're 70. But God gave you skills, gifts, and provisions for the 70-year-old you as well. And
Mm.
so when we are talking about finding that thing, you have multiple things, and they are to serve you at multiple times, different times of your life. And so I teach people how to identify all of the skills and gifts, because just like when a woman is born, in her ovaries are all the eggs that she's going to have in her lifetime, that's exactly what God did for you. All your skills and gifts that you're going to have, they're
Oh, that's
there.
good.
They're already there, but they are released according to the season, just like the ovaries and the eggs. It's the same deal. But
Mm.
you have to know when they are to be planted, when they are to be harvested, and when they are to be taken to market for sale. And so there's a process to that. You have to learn how to take care of your land. You have to learn how to build the relationships so that you can have those marketplace relationships. And you got to learn how to price this.
Okay, see that now that yeah, you blew me right there,
Yeah.
just
Yeah,
mind blown, because
yeah,
those are things that obviously I had to learn trial and error, right?
exactly.
Didn't have the
Exactly.
handbook, but so many people think, okay, I'm an author 2 times now, right?
Yeah,
I'm a
yeah,
playwright. I
yeah,
have music out.
yeah,
Guess what? I had to put in some sweat equity, some long
yeah,
hours to
yeah,
not only create a good product that
Right.
was
Mhm.
desired by my customers, but I had to shrink wrap that baby to where it was presentable, to where,
yeah,
because some people buy just by what they see, and then I believe that your products should be a direct replica of who you are. So if
yes.
I'm talking and being and speaking and singing and motivating one way, but yet you see me in a whole different light, that's going to have a direct impact on whether or not you spend your dollar with me.
Absolutely. But like you said, you had to learn trial and error. But what if I told you that there was never supposed to be trial and error?
You are
Come on, Lynita.
just
Come
high
on,
five,
Lynita.
Yes,
just
girl.
a high
Come
five,
Yes,
on,
girl.
Lynita.
just a high five, because you in my lane right there. Go
Yes.
ahead.
There was never supposed to be trial and error. God is a God of order, not chaos. That means that the plan was already written there. But because we are constantly being pulled into this idea that if I am not popular, then I'm not relevant, and therefore what I have is not important, then it makes it very difficult for us to go forth and do what God called us to do, particularly when we are told that we can only make money one way. Like I was talking about with the magazine, pants sagging and profanity all over the place, like that's all that we are, which is crazy. No, we're not. But if that's what you're surrounded by, if that is what the media is feeding into you, if that is what you are always hearing,
Mm,
then it takes a very strong person to resist that and rebuke it.
yeah, yeah.
Real talk.
Yeah, yeah.
When I started out R&B secular music, and I'm just passionate, period. And I started out in one genre, and I was gifted a Bishop T.D. Jakes
Mm,
CD, and
yeah,
it was a motivational CD, right? And
yeah.
I will never forget that CD. I'll never, because it was some things that he said that has me poised to where I am today. Now you got to think, oh God, my oldest was maybe 9 years old then. She's 23 now.
Yeah.
It matters what we do and what we say and what we plant, because you never know who is
Yes.
going to build up or who
Yes.
it's going to tear down. Now, I love what you
Yes.
said about there should not be any trial and error. You're absolutely right. I think that goes back to, as a child, we are subject to teaching atmospheres of those that God entrusted to train us up in the way that we were supposed to go. And
Yes.
a lot of the things and a lot of the atmospheres and a lot of the conversations that we were privy to as children did not necessarily cultivate that thing, that
That's
unique
right.
thing that God is planting on the inside of us. So now we're
That's right.
walking in a world of wonder.
Yeah.
Okay, so I have this thing that is pulling on me. Okay, but you know what? You didn't say that. You said something completely different. I have this thing that is, that keeps me up at the late in the midnight hour, but you telling me that it's a waste of time, whether you're telling me with your mouth or with your actions. So
Mm-hmm.
I agree with you that we're not supposed to be forever going in this whirlwind of like, I can't get it, I can't get it. What you trying to get? You already got it.
Yeah.
Now we just have to position ourselves to manifest it, to grow in it, pulling up to good tables with good doctrine. So I like the way you said that. There's not supposed to be a trial and error.
Thank you.
Lynita, we got a lot of people making comments. We got Makita. She's like, oh my God, it's like the light bulb went off. It's the aha moment. I just want you to know that we're still encouraging people. We've got Ode to Joy. Hey, Ode to Joy. I know who that is. You got a lot of followers today, Lynita. She's saying, I love that analogy. It makes so much sense. There was another woman, Queen, I think it was trying to read some of these comments because you're hitting home. That's why we are here and we do what we do. It's important, Lynita, that women see us in the positive light. People need to understand that we can get along.
Yes,
come on.
Yes, we can. Yes, we can.
That you're talking about, because I know you intimately, Lynita. This is why we do what we do. We haven't told our stories yet, but we will as to come. Queen, I refer to her as Queen. I'm comfortable with Queen because we are queens and kings. Yes. But we will tell the story how it's. I am definitely sent by God.
Amen. Yeah, that's right.
That story, but I want you to continue before we close up. It's so much meat. I am full, and everybody knows, Bella, I do want to do a cartwheel, Anita, but I'm trying to be calm, cool, and practice a lot of what's been given. It's a lot of meat, but I see it's Sharice. Thank you. I hope I'm saying that. Sharice or Sharice. She said, thank you, women of power, for sharing your strength with me. We count out on Joy, Lynita. This is what we do. This is warming Bella's heart, and I know it's warming Queen's heart. Read some more comments, Queen. I'm ecstatic because we prayed for this, right?
Yeah.
Have the light bulbs going off. And
there was
see it in a positive light. And I will say this. I'm going to paraphrase before you close out, Lynita. Somebody we know, our teacher, Reverend Rowe, she always says, show up, people. Show up. It's half the job. And then let's get the work done. We cannot think osmosis, family, that high in the sky, we're going to hear it. It's going to happen miraculously. No, we got to show up.
That's right.
Do the work.
That's
That beautiful Lynita today, and Queen and myself as well. It's more than a notion.
That's
We're not just sitting here trying to look pretty. We're sitting here sharing our guts, our souls, our hearts. You gotta do the work, and it's never ending. It's continuous.
Never ending.
Lynita, we're on a big high. I don't know if it's some more we can read, Queen, but I really want you to take us out in the next 3-4 minutes because you're so positive. I know the empowerment. I am not a hoarder. I am here to share. And God knows my heart. And if I could jump off of the screen, I would do that. Because I know Lynita, I know the power. I know the empowerment. I know what it means to be in the room with women like yourself. Sharing, caring. No shade, people. No competition. There's no such thing. We all were created and beautifully and wonderfully made. We all have gifts and talents. Another one of my friends, her daughter was on here yesterday, April Cook, her mother, April, Annette. Shout out Annette in Baltimore. She follows me every day. She always says it. We were all born and come here to earth for a purpose.
That's right.
We're here to solve a solution. We're the solution to a problem. And I'm getting full. I have to tone myself down. You know how I go, Queen. The spirit is on me. It really, really is. This is no shade, people. This is not a script. This is real.
This is real.
It's very real. Because the comments are coming, Lynita, and I calm myself down. I'm going back to my breathing techniques. Because we had Mona on, Queen. We had Mona on, Lynita. It's about interacting. We had Mona on, and Mona was teaching us to.
Yes, and it worked. Yeah. And it worked.
Yeah.
And it worked.
To Joy says, thank you for digging in and doing the work, ladies. Blessed women of God we are. To me, that is what this is for. That is why the prayer is, Lord, remove us so that they can see you. In all of the accomplishments and all of the success, we are all the same. We're women with a mission. I haven't met a woman that did not want and desire more, even if life had beat her down, So to be able to be in good company, oh God, to be able to actually sit and feed and sit and eat, from this awesome table, that's what it's about, doing the work. So I'm grateful. Lynita, any closing words or anything that you want to leave our OPNS family with right now? Because honey, they are honing in. I mean, I love that analogy. Oh my God, I needed that. Thank you, women of power. Yes, I struggled with moving when God said move. Amen. You are the seed, good word, and it goes on and on and on and on. You know, you have to edify each other. I like that, and I didn't even see that at first, but that's good. Iron sharpens iron. So they're in tune. What do you want to leave us with today?
What I want to leave with you today is the importance of eclipsing your fears. It's not to say you won't ever be afraid. It's not to say that you won't have anxiety, but know that you are always, always, always surrounded, protected, loved, and filled with God. That at all points of your life, you are exactly where you're supposed to be. That anyone who tries to tell you that you are out of balance, that you should strive for more, that they just need to focus on themselves. At all times, you are to stand guard over your own life, that your duties are to yourself, to your family, to your friends, to your community. But before you can be accountable, responsible, or dependable for or to anyone else, you have to start with you. And so that is going to require you to really work on your AQ. Spend time with the Lord. Own the places where you know you're deficient. Don't always try to fix everything at once. Some things should stay broken. That is just the way that it is. And you are perfect and beautiful just as you are. You were formed in excellence, and you will be that way until the end of time. Be blessed and know that you are loved.
Lynita, you've got to close in on how can people get in touch with you, because my God, we're gonna have you back. You already know that.
Well, thank you. But yes, so you can visit me on my website, LynitaMitchell-Blackwell.com. You can follow me on Instagram, Lynita Mitchell-Blackwell, ESQ, or Facebook, Lynita Mitchell-Blackwell, or LinkedIn, Lynita Mitchell-Blackwell. I try to be consistent to make it easy to find me. And I really love joining and being of service. I also have a Facebook group, Eclipse the Fear with Lynita, and you're welcome to join.
Oh, I'm there.
So just making sure that I got it right, LynitaMitchell-Blackwell.com.
That's right.
Okay, so I put it out there. People, listen, if you didn't get enough today, go visit the web. Sorry, 5-year-old in the background.
Yeah.
Go visit.
Train them up in the way they should go, Minister.
Oh, yes.
Listen, she lasted an hour. I can't complain. Go and visit this website, because at the end of the day, you know the way I say it here at OPNS, we grow best what? Together. So we grow. And this atmosphere, this platform today, I don't know about you, but I felt some personal growth. So thank you, Lynita Mitchell. And I am Lynita Mitchell-Blackwell. And I am looking forward to working with you on some things, man. My wheels was turning. I was paying attention. Bella, take us out.
All right, Lynita, we thank you so much, Queen, that you are OPNS family 97.1. You know how we do. Don't you touch that dial. We will be right back.
All right.
Love it. Love it. All right, guys. OPNS. Mwah. Love you.